Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Math Script. This is Tony the Tutor, or Anthony Foster as it says on my business card, with AIM or Fluence in Mathematics. We're coming at you with a fraction problem. So this is, I believe, 4th grade, 5th grade math. So here we have 2/7 plus 3/4 is equal to question mark. So our first order of business in this problem is to find a common denominator. Now you know when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you always have to find a common denominator before you can solve the problem. So let's find a common denominator between 2/7 and 3/4. So the denominator in the first one is 7, and the denominator in the second one is 4. So usually when we're solving for fraction problems, we would say, how can I make the denominators the same? And usually you want to solve for your greatest common factor, or GFC. So the greatest common factor is when you take the factors of each of the two denominators and you find which one is the common one. So we're going to say 1 and 2. So for 1, the factors of 7, because we're solving for the factors of the denominator, because the denominators are the only part that have to be the same. So as a matter of fact, let's write that down. Okay, so this reads that the denominators of the denominators, or the bottoms, must be equal to add or subtract, plus or minus, fractions. So the first method we would like to use is we like to see if they have the greatest common factor, or GFC. So first we're going to find the factors of 7. So we say, what are the factors of 7? Now some students have learned to use a number tree. Others just cite the factors off and know them by memorization. But here we're going to use the factor tree. So we know 7 is a prime number, so the only factors of a prime number are 1 and itself. So this is the number tree. For greatest common factor, GCF. I wrote GFC. Greatest common factor, right? So for 4, the factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. Or 4 itself, 1 and 2. Okay, so they have no common factors. So you may be asking me, because they have no common factors, how are we going to solve this problem? Now you have to do what's called finding the least common multiple. So using the greatest common factor method, you will be going backwards. Using least common multiple, you will be moving forwards. So the least common multiple is defined as LCM. And multiples are just the next number in sequence of this value. So the multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. We're going to drop down here. We're going to say 42, 49, 56. We're going to go all the way up to the tens place, so we're going to go 63 and 70. So these are the multiples of 7, 1 through 10. Now for 4, the multiples of 4 for 1 through 10 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. So once again, this is the method of the least common multiple, or LCM. Now it's important that your students know all their multiples up to 10. This is 4 times 1, which is 4. This is 4 times 2, which is 8. This is 4 times 3, which is 12. 4 by 4, 16. 4 by 5, 20, so on and so forth. All the way when you get 4 times 10 is 40. The same thing here where you say 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, 7 times 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now we have to find the least common number between the two of them. So we would identify it as 28. So now we've identified in this problem, because the greatest common factor did not work, we used the method of the least common multiple. So here, now, I have 7 by 4 makes 28, and 4 by 7 makes 28. So if I could drop here, I would say 7 over, I'm sorry, this is too close. I apologize. 7 over 2 times 4 over 4 plus, now this is 3 over 4 times the multiple that it took to get to 28, which is 7 sevenths. So from this step, now we've solved for a common denominator of 28. And what do we know about the denominators of a problem? The denominators, or the bottoms, must be equal in order to add or subtract fractions. So now let's go to the numerator. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 7 is 21. Your final answer is 29 over 28. Now always remember, when adding and subtracting fractions, the denominator must remain the same throughout the entire problem once they become the same. So once you've gone through the matriculation of your problem and you understand now that the denominators are the same, the numerators are added or subtracted to each other, and you get an answer. So this could also be written as or 1 and 1/28. I want to thank everybody for joining me today for this episode of the Math Script. This is fractions. This is 5th and 6th grade mathematics. Parents, these subjects are not always introduced together like this. A lot of students will be at first introduced either to the concept of greatest common factor and then least common multiple, and then they'll be asked to add or subtract fractions. If your student is having trouble adding or subtracting fractions, More than likely, they did not understand the concepts of the least common multiple and the greatest common factor. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to inbox or comment on the page about any problems you may have. This is Tony the tutor, or Anthony Foster, as it says on my business card, with AIM, signing out and telling you guys to aim high and always, always, always be sure